order of the day and are growing longer with every passing day in Africa's biggest producer of crude oil. And now, not just motorists, but the economy risks grinding to a halt.
Is these people causing all these things? They are owning this fuel, they are touching it, they keep this fuel somewhere, they don't sell it, they want us to be suffering for it.
The stress of getting fuel this time around has become unbearable, as you can see. Many motorists have been here for more than 6 hours queuing to get fuel. Sometimes the filling stations operators will just stop all of a sudden that they are not selling fuel.
The problem is a standoff between the federal government and oil importers over unpaid fuel subsidies. Nigerian oil importers are claiming close to $2 billion for fuel subsidies before they resume steady supply, but the government disputes the figure. Meetings to settle the staggering subsidy claims have not yielded fruit, and in the meantime, there are no fresh supplies of fuel deepening the crisis situation.
Following from the release of the last payment, 154.56, the owners of the trucks have agreed to allow their trucks to start loading.
We've discussed the issues they have on the table, and we are looking into them. Government is a continuum, and I think that you'll find that whatever the issues are, they will be resolved so that Nigerians will not suffer.
This has now given rise to roadside fuel vendors, most of them young men in their mid-20s, while exploiting desperate motorists and feeding a costly black market. Indeed, it is brisk business for them, buying the fuel and reselling it a few meters from the pump station at a hefty margin. So lucrative has this black market become that they have formed cartels bribing pump station workers to frustrate motorists and reserve supplies for them.
I have to have profit because some people where they queue, where they have to hurry up to go their work or their job. So I will sell it for them. If I call it for them 6,000, some of them will say 5,000. I will sell it for them 5,000. So that is my own profit. Maybe like 3,000, 2,000. Now that one they used to chop. Before I buy that fuel, they will tell me that in this 30 liter, I will pay the 300 naira for keg. After that, I will bribe the attendant with the inside filling station.
These few vendors behind seems to be the real winners of the crisis. Just about 100 meters away from the pump station, a liter of petrol sells at more than double the official pump price simply because some motorists can't afford the endless waiting.
The corruption started from the filling station. Even the manager, the way they used to treat people in this country is very, very bad. Why a lot of people have queued for 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and they are not selling fuel for them.
No fuel. Eat today, no light.
The situation threatens to get out of hand if not addressed urgently. Nigeria will need up to 40 million liters of imported fuel per day to match with the existing demand. Refining a quarter of its crude oil should provide steady supply of fuel, but the existing refineries are too small and poorly maintained. The federal government recently issued several domestic refinery licenses, but most could not start due to prohibitive cost investment.
Franco Malape.
And so the story continues, and of course, the big question would be how long more will Nigerians have to groan under this great burden of scarcity of food supply in the country? We're joined on the show this morning by Dr. DOKUN ADEDEJI, a veteran public affairs analyst. Thank you very much, sir, for finding time to come.
Thank you very much.
Wondered how you got it here this early.
Maneuvering. I got some fuel which I haven't used in a week.
Okay.
So, and because my house is not too far from here, so I had to take the back roads
to
get
from
here.
The black market?
No, not the black market, actually, but should I say a green black market. It was actually a petrol station,
okay.
But I had to go very early. I paid more than pump price, but at least I got. And so what I did was to manage what I got. I'm not sure it will last me to the end of the week, but that's where we are.
Really, what do you make of this at this time? there's a snowball effect. For some, there's not been power supply. For those who depend on power supply to get water, that also means there hasn't been water. And then the economic implication of this for Nigerians who have to transport themselves from homes to workplaces at this crucial time of transition. What do you make of it?
To be honest with you, I don't really want to shout foul, but I'm beginning to smell a rat. And I need for people to look at it. It's not as if one wants to raise any issue, but for me it's a red flag. You just said it. We're in the process of transition. The new government will come in on Friday. As we speak, aviation fuel is not available. You can't fly. You can't travel by road. You can't move to your offices. You have no light. You can't watch television to know what is happening. The telecoms are going to shut down, so there'll be no communication. And the banks are going to tell you they don't have money, they can't open. And the ominous one for me that I just thought about, the army just opened a radio station. So if you begin to tie all this together, you begin to have a very queer feeling. This is not the first time we have scarcity in Nigeria, but it has never been this widespread. And as you said, snowball effect. And we should not be careless. That's my own bit. It doesn't mean that anything will happen, but let us not take anything for granted. For me, the thing that begin to play in my mind is what Okupe and Co said before the elections, that look, we will not hand over to this man, that we rather do this and that. It may not be what is going to play out, but don't be careless. Let Nigerians be vigilant. All this no fear may be red herring, disturbing our visibility of the big show. And so for me, that's the way I'm beginning to look at it. We can look at fear scarcity, but begin to look at the ancillary things playing out. So for me, I want to also be very careful.
But would you say our leaders saw this coming and they just decided to just shove it by the side? This challenge, do you think it was premeditated?
If this was happening, I wouldn't say it was. But to my mind, I'm not going to rule out anything. And that's being honest with you. In the first quarter of this year, we spent close to how much on fuel subsidy that nobody knows what it really does. And look at it, they have not attended to it. They keep saying, don't worry, we'll get better. It hasn't gotten better. And the thing is, people, these suppliers are asking for more money. They're asking for another 200 billion. So I think they know. The president hasn't spoken a word since all this started. It falls within his purview and responsibility. If he said to us that I'm still in charge,
that's right,
that look, don't let anybody run the power government, I'm saying, so where is he being in charge? We can't see it.
Well, the president actually said there's handing over peace and stability to the incoming administration. What do you make of such statement?
Lai Mohammed's statement captures everything. Where's the peace? You see, for me, you know, when people talk about peace, I smile. I remember I was in Peter Tosh, who said, for me, without justice, there cannot be peace. What we have is the peace of the graveyard. If you say we got peace, look at all the crises surrounding us. Know this, people are suffering, kids can't go to school, you can't do anything. A lady I learned was going to hospitals, giving fuel to hospitals. Even in the best of times, the hospitals are not functioning optimally. Now to think about it, for me, this is not a peace. I don't think, look, I'm usually biased about this president. I never voted for him. In 2011, I campaigned against him because I don't think, and I didn't think, then I still don't think, he should have been president because it doesn't have what it takes. In other countries with this kind of emergency, the president should be speaking, we should be seeing him out front there, doing something. He owns the cabinet, he chose the minister for petroleum, so why can't he take responsibility for this?
Well, you said it doesn't have what it takes, but of course, when you look at his administration, others would praise him for the achievements he's had, say in the agriculture sector, for the empowerment programs he actually brought up. Don't you think that is what saying he had done well in his own feet?
You know, how Nigerians grade things, I don't understand. If you're at the university, if you have to sit for 10 courses, and you pass 3, nobody's going to promote you. So for me, that's non-performance. Look, agric is just a part, it's a segment of national life. And not even only that, how many people find food on their table? I mean, they can make all the noise about agric, about what the guy has done, fine. But for me, performance is when I don't have to groan. The ordinary man wants to get things at prices that he can afford. Where's the food? Cassava bread, I've never seen it. All this is, look, there's so much hype about the agric sector. The thing for me is, where is the food? We're still importing rice. We spend billions importing rice. And we say, I mean, I don't want to run in there. It's not that I'm denigrating this government or the person of the president. But for me, look, other countries, and I just said to you, you can't sit for school SAT. You're offering 8 courses to get a certificate, you pass 3. You say, I've done well. Why is not going to give you a certificate? It's the same thing with the president.
But have you also considered, sir, that all those challenges boils down to probably the non-payment of fuel subsidy, a backlog since last year, August. But this was the same administration that also told Nigerians that it was high time we removed fuel subsidy. Wouldn't be a challenge that, of course, they saw coming, offered a solution, but Nigerians kicked against it?
I don't think so. You know, Nigerians are very reasonable people, if I must say. The thing is, and what Buhari also has said in the last interview with Daily Trust, show me the sequence of subsidy. If you show Nigerians that this is the subsidy, and this is where it comes from, this is what you're doing, Nigerians are not unreasonable to understand. But the thing is, people are milking, if there's a subsidy or whatever, the subsidy trap, people are milking it, people are getting rich from it, and they are, so the kerosene, how many people buy kerosene at the facility? This is subsidized. I mean, the thing that I say, as much as one needs to be careful so that it doesn't seem as if you don't like Jonathan and his government at all, is the subsidy. Buhari has said it. He said in 2011, he said, show me the subsidy. If you show me the subsidy, then I'll believe you. This subsidy is a racket. For me, it is a racket. Check the people that have been charged for it. Until now, they know the government will change. They are now rushing them to court. What had happened?
Just a minute, sir. We're joined by our correspondent, Biola Oluwale, who is somewhere at the heart of Lagos. Can you tell us, Biola, what the full scarcity situation is like where you are now?
The situation is terrible, and there is lamentation on the mass of commuters. There is 100% increment in transportation fee. Normally, it's from Oba to Secretariat is 50 naira and 100 naira. This morning, people valued it 150, 200, from 150 upwards to 200. And from filling station last night sold for 300 naira per litre. Specifically, there is a filling station in Oba, nationwide by name, sold by a litre of petrol for 300 naira per litre. And black market, on the black market, it's 600 naira per litre. The situation is a case of lamentation on the side of Nigeria. And to worsen the situation, there has been no life. Every part of where I reside has been on a blackout since.
It's all right. Can you tell us what, of course, we understand the hike in transportation, the price of transporting from one place to the other. But what's the traffic light like on the street of Lagos? It looks as if people still get the commodity.
Very free flow of traffic. Normally from Oba to Secretariat, it's usually 30 to 45 minutes because of traffic gridlock. This morning it took us to 10 minutes from Oba to, less than 10 minutes from Oba to Secretariat, which shows that many drivers, many car owners are being forced to tow their cars at home.
It's all right, Biola. We'll be back with you when you have more updates for us. Thank you for joining us this hour on the show. Many are saying that perhaps there are a lot to learn also from this particular crisis. If people would not go out with their private vehicles, probably Lagos will experience less traffic congestions in due time.
Yeah, you're talking about the ideal situation in the sense that their transportation system is good. But our transportation system, you know, is abysmal. It's next to zero. There's no nation that is serious that transports the people by road. How many would cars, buses carry? The best thing is mass transportation. And then until, you see, the thing with Nigeria is this. We tackle issues inside with silo mentality. You take one issue and everybody runs after it. That's not the way to run a system. The way to system to do a holistic review. And then you see how they all interconnect. And then you deal with those things and then you form a totality. You can't work this way. The transport system, oh, I want to do that, I want to buy buses. No, it's not going to work. Where are the roads they will run on? Where's the fare in case it happens like this? If, for instance, you look at the streets of London, people go to work, they live outside London. I know people live in Milton Keynes, and then they go to London, they don't get late to work. They know when to get to the tube station, and then it takes them. You can take tram, you can take whichever you choose. So it's your choice. Until we have an integrated system of governance in which we look at things in a holistic manner, we will keep running after shadows.
But why do you think everything seems to be crumbling down at the tail end of President Goodluck Jonathan's administration?
You see, okay, I try to avoid Mr. Jonathan, but I need to speak it because he is the man and the hammer for it. It speaks to misgovernance. Look, honestly, the 6 years of this gentleman, for me, I don't know what others say, it's been a disaster. It's a time in which Nigeria has been on autopilot. Anything goes, everybody does what they choose, all the ministers work as they choose. You don't see an integration, a synchronization of their purpose. And so the thing is, it's falling apart because he had never had grip on it, and then now he really does not care.
Do you think if he had won the 2015 election, would this have happened?
It would be worse. You see, what will happen is we will patch it up. It won't fall apart like this, and then you know how he does, patch this up. But a day will come. Now we are hit with about 63 billion debts. People are not being paid salaries. What will happen? Will it just, because he won the election, will they disappear? It won't disappear. The only thing is the crisis has shown forth the level of misgovernance or lack of governance that had been. It is my hope that somebody is going to sit down, which is going to be tight on the next government, to sit down and tackle this in a meaningful manner, in a manner that you bring some sense. You know, Tinubu says common sense revolution, in which you bring some level of common sense into play into this process. It would have been worse if Mr. Jonathan.
But are we also considering the roles being played by other stakeholders? Oil importers, oil marketers, the tank drivers are on strike, NLC is threatening to go on strike. If the NLC, for instance, goes on strike at this time, would you call that a right step in the right direction? It would totally crumble the system.
The system itself is crumbled, but on what basis would NLC go on strike?
They're talking about solidarity with the challenges being faced by civil servants and, of course, unpaid salaries in some parts of the country.
You know, for me, I have never liked the role of labor in Nigerian situation. Number one, they back, they can't bite. They make so much noise, they push everybody to go out, and in 72 hours, something happens and everything crumbles and we're back to square one. I have always said my grouse with labor is this, particularly labor officers in union. To fight for salary increase is extremely myopic. Salary increase will get subsumed or consumed within 3 months of a salary increase. What about benefits to people? What about rights of workers? If a worker works in a place and he gets some level of medical treatment, some coverage in all those things, his kids can go to school and the other societal needs are taken care of, why do you need a salary increase? Go check other nations. How often do you see salary increases? The thing is, a man leaves work. They say we collect pension. His pension, he will spend on one medical illness. That's not pension. The thing is, unless we sit down, labor union, they have the opportunity to help this country if they think properly. But what they're concerned about is populist attention. Oh, we got a salary increase. In 3 months, the salary increase is going to disappear. So what happens to the worker? In Nigerian labor market, people run casualization. They do all kinds of things. Some factories never been inspected by any inspectorate division or Ministry of Labor, and labor union is there. What have they done? If you walk around the Kenya in the evening about 5 p.m., where you see these people closing, come and say, delodge your people. They earn 10,000. They walk home, they live in the Yano Ipaja. They work in Ikeja. You call that working? It's slavery, my brother. And until a labor union gets its acts right, not all these populists and noise making, they should sit down. In other nations, labor people are very strategic people.
Let's take a short commercial break here. When we come back, we'll touch on some other aspects of the ongoing food scarcity in Nigeria. Stick around, don't go away.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who are inspired to dream. Dreams of a future where we're more than able to move the entire world.
Mom, one day I'm gonna be a superstar performer.
Yes, one day.
Rich and creamy peak, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DG 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Every day of the week will bring to you divergent views on news making the headline.
If people who commit crime are being rewarded with national honors, with national appointments, then where are we going in this country?
It's not about whether it was Jonathan or whether you are going to have a Buhari. It's the kind of political structure we run.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
We are talking about a Buhari who at 41 became head of state. The man did not exhibit the attribute of somebody that is strong intellectually.
So, comrade, you're saying if you become governor, you're going to bring back Okada?
Of course.
You will bring back the market women on the streets?
Excuse me, don't put words in my mouth.
On Core Digest, we bring all of this to the court of public opinion, where you are the judge.
Welcome back. Ajibade Officer joins us now from Imo State. Can you tell us, Ajibade, what the situation really is like in Imo?
Right now, as you see, the fourth country has been a problem on the neck of commuters. This morning, I witnessed a group of people trying to argue out the issue. That's the transport, the bus driver, and the workers who are trying to get to their office. And there's drastic improvement in the transport fare and the Agony seriously. Both of them, both groups almost changed loose. That the long run, they were able to come down and they blame federal government for the whole scarcity. It is, according to many of them, they said the President Jonathan has filled with a lot of forecast problems. So remember when the administration started, this administration was started, there was forecast at the beginning. And the administration is ending now and there's still forecast. So it's very tense.
Tell me, Ajibade, I understand that the commodity is scarce, but how would you describe, how do people get it in Imo? Is it available at the filling station, or the black market is also quite relevant there?
Yes, yeah, it's available at some stations who are selling at a very high price, some selling at 250, some at 300, some selling at 400 thereabouts. But the black marketers who sell in kegs, sell per liters now at about 400 to 500, depending on whoever want to buy.
It's all right. Thank you very much for joining us now. We'll get back to you, Ajibade, when you have more updates for us from Imo. All right. Looks as if it's the same story like what we heard from our correspondent in Lagos, Ajibade Awufeso, who called in now from Imo State, also shared the quite very poor story, poor state of life of commuters there this morning. I'm sure we have online the Secretary of Pengasin. Okay, we're going to wait for that. But before then, let's quickly get back to our guest here in the studio, Dr. DOKUN ADEDEJI. Thank you very much for staying the course on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Is it also possible that we are, because I understand your point, or your position rather. Okay, there's someone online.
All right, we have someone online. We have the General Secretary of Pengasin, ADEDEJI Olowoshile, who naturally should be on the show this morning, but as a result of the fuel scarcity, he couldn't be here. So we'll be speaking with him live on the program today. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
All right. With this challenge of fuel scarcity, how much longer, how far could Nigerians really go with this issue of fuel scarcity?
Well, with the way things are playing out, it seems like the incoming administration will really have to intervene because there are a lot of issues around it which the outgoing administration has not realistically tackled. And it will make it a little bit difficult for the current situation to actually subside, as it were, because it has to do with issues of funding the protest, and those that have been involved, who have been made to make some commitments to bringing fuel and using their funds for obtaining bank loans, are making serious case, and they are not letting go at all, and so that is really creating this difficulty around there.
But as a stakeholder in this fuel product, did you actually see this coming, and what step did the organization take to actually stem the tide before it got this worse?
Well, it also has to do with the government and the level of transparency and the commitment to how this problem could have been solved much earlier. You remember that the National Assembly in-depthly went into the issue, and a lot of probes and some recommendations were made, but as I speak, those recommendations were actually not attended as a means of providing far-reaching solutions to this problem, and that is what has lingered till now. Okay. So it's a big concern to Nigerians when issues have come to a point, and there are steps that have been recommended for the matter to be resolved, and nothing was done.
Oh, so you're saying that the stakeholders are willing to actually put an end to this problem, but the government is not really ready, showing readiness to.
That's exactly the situation. We don't have a process where stakeholders are actually brought together at a forum for us to look at these issues and be able to provide enduring solutions. And you just allow it to be within the very few people who wanted to bring their different instincts and machinations into how Nigerians have to be maneuvered. And that is the situation that we are faced today.
Okay, thank you very much, Adebayo Olowoshile, for joining us on the program today.
It's all right. Let me quickly come to you. Is it also possible that we have a situation in our hands where all the stakeholders probably are taking advantage of the situation? They're counting down to May 29, saying it's better we go on strike now before, because probably they don't have, they don't know if the income administration was going to pay, all the backlog.
I think you got it right. What is playing out is holding the government by the balls, because they know that this government will do anything. They know the incoming administration will not take all this kind of crap. Permit me to use that word. And they know that Buhari is a no-nonsense man. What Buhari will do is understand the fundamentals of what the issues are and deal with it. And they know that it's not likely to pay subsidy because they need to justify all they're asking for. And if they cannot, it's not going to attend to them. So everybody wants to quickly make the bid they can make from this government and then scram.
I read one of the newspapers where the oil marketers said they written a letter to the president-elect to call for a meeting. They're yet to get a reply from him. One would also think that for the sake of the average Nigerian who is at the center of all of this mess, probably the people we're talking about, I'm not sure the president-elect and the incumbent president will have the challenge of getting fuels for their vehicles. One would have thought that for the sake of Nigerians, the president-elect should also be actively involved at this time to be able to tell these people, probably tell them that don't worry, I will pay, or just say something at this time that can stem the tide.
You see, let me be honest with you, that would be entirely wrong. He's not in government. Even the simple things he asked for about transition notes, he hasn't gotten. And when he spoke, they said he's running a parallel government. So if he now intervenes in this, on what basis will he be intervening? Yes, I know he feels for the people, but on what basis will he come and say, I promise you I'll pay, or this? Unless he gets there, you understand the dynamics of what is on the ground. He can't make some promises, because again, he cannot come out. His word does not have the force of law. And so, constitutionally, it's not bad.
Well, I think what we want to look at now is the play of sincerity. Like Adebayo Olowoshile said that, of course, they've had series of meetings with the current administration. And he's saying that there is lack of sincerity on their part. But we have the finance minister saying that she has actually paid some oil marketers this money. So who really is speaking the truth at this time?
For me, I don't believe the finance minister, with due respect. She speaks from both sides of the mouth. She said, oh, everybody has been paid, nobody is owed. A lot of people are owed. She said, oh, Nigeria is not broke. Nigeria has taken about 400 and something billion loans and whatever. And we're in debt up to $60 billion. So for me, she's only speaking government speak. That's what I'll call it. The thing is, there is no one in authority here. Even whilst this government was active, there was not a singular show of authority by the president. People under him do things they choose to do, and he glosses over it. He doesn't seem to be aware of it. If you remember what happened about the recall of the Nigerian High Commissioner in South Africa by an ordinary officer of the Foreign Affairs, you then begin to understand. For many days, he did not know about what happened between Morocco and Nigeria. And this was top-level governance. So for me, this government had never had political will to deal with the issues that concern Nigerians. It's very obvious. For me, it's very obvious. If it were not so, check the number of meetings that have been held, check the number of times Scarcity had come and then they've discussed and then stakeholders have been called to meetings, and what has come out of it? Nothing. It's just a show. They make it a workshop for people to just come and talk, and then they walk away from it. They don't care because it doesn't bother them.
Let's consider this from a bigger picture, because in addressing Nigeria, you would say it's Africa's largest oil-producing nation. And it's unfortunate that we've not been able to provide energy in the form of fuel and electricity consistently, like even other smaller African countries do. What would you say have you identified as the major challenge in this course?
I think Nigeria as a nation revels in titles, in all these big things of biggest economy, biggest this, without any attendant achievement to it. As you said, do you know, as I speak, we need to check this thing about the largest producer of petrol in Africa? I think Angola is getting close, or Mozambique, either of them. And I think we need to, it's not even the number of, the volume you produce, it is how you use it, the functionality of your production that's important. For me, we have, look at what we're doing with energy. We're depending on gas, and we know the impediments to using gas only. What are the other options? There are many other options. I read a gentleman who wrote in from Houston, Texas, a Nigerian, and who specified the things that are possible to coal to energy is one basic way in which you can get energy. But are we doing anything? We have so much coal. About 6 different cities in Nigeria can give us coal enough to generate energy. So if we're not doing that, and we expect this to work, the way we think, as I said to you, is too single. It's too silo mentality, just one way, and that's it. We don't think about the corollary effect and then the ancillary possibilities of getting other things done.
You talk about alternative source of energy. If I got you well, there are some who are asking why Nigeria hasn't taken advantage of solar energy. Many are saying it's quite expensive, but beyond this, we've also had the issue of cartels, because when the issue of subsidy came up, it's been a challenge of getting out the corrupt people who are center to all of these challenges. Do you see this incoming administration being able to put through?
Let me say this to you. Who does not know the cartel or the cabal, the people who control those things? Who does not know that people in power are the people who do those things? If you look at the fact that you just mentioned something about cartel or the oligarch. Look at what happened. It will be expensive when you do solar in the initial. When they brought telecoms, when the telecoms started operating in Nigeria, you used to buy a phone for 160,000. But now today you can buy a phone for less. I mean, so that's the way it works in the initial. There'll be a level of cost to it. But as people begin to use and begin to refine the process, it gets cheaper. So that's the way other people have done it. The thing is, do we try at all? Do we even sit down? I'm telling you that intelligent people in Nigeria who have sat down, who have papers on the alternative forms of energy. I know that there's a Department of Atomic Energy and Nuclear Physics in UI and all the rest. There are people, and we have Nigerians all over the world who can do this. For me, and I've said it to anybody, one of the best ministers for power that we've had is Baton Naji. He knows his onions. But the thing is it not someone we can tap? And I'm sure the incoming administration is going to do something along this. Most of this, you find that by the time they sort it, it will look like a piece of cake, because it just needs a bit of thinking and a big chunk of political will.
You make it sound quite simple. Are you saying that we're going to... Just a minute. Okay, we have Adebayo Olowosile, General Secretary, Pengasi, joining us again on the show. Thank you for staying, because I understand your point of view as regards the insincerity, the alleged insincerity on the part of government. But there is another school of thought.
I'm not hearing you very well.
Can you hear me clearly now, sir? I said, I understand your opinion, what you described as insincerity on the part of government in the ongoing issue of food scarcity. But there's another school of thought that believe that the other agencies, you call them the oil importers, the oil tanker drivers that are on strike, are on a mission to sabotage the effort of the federal government. What are your thoughts along this line?
Well, I don't think the agencies, any agent of government, has the capacity to strangulate or to play any game around the importation of oil and distribution. The key issue is that they don't import. They are only directed to give licenses to importers who use their funds or go to banks or source foreign exchange to do their importation. And as long as these people have done their importation and are making requests for funds, it's best to present their case to the appropriate government authority who have responsibility to ensure that these things are actualized or paid. And if nothing can be done at that level, there's nothing any extent of government can do.
Okay, but then what do you foresee happening in the next couple of days? Because we're counting down to Friday, May 29, which happens to be the handover ceremony. Is there any fear on the part of the oil marketers that probably the incoming administration wouldn't pay the debts or what they call the backlog of the subsidies since August last year?
Well, any responsible government will not just sit back and say that we are not going to look at issues like this. There will be some committee that will be set up to review and verify some of the things and see to what extent they can attend to it, knowing that the administration is going to be reading with a lot of commitments, liabilities, and debt. And so they will still not want to allow this so much colossal issues of debt to keep them down while they needed to attend to other competing needs. But responsibly, because of the importance of fuel and energy to the economy, the government will definitely have to engage these players and operators and see to what extent they can come to some level of consensus or compromise with them. But I still believe that these players will also want to hear the government out and show some reasonableness with them.
That's
in terms
right.
of not wanting to hold them responsible for these challenges.
But
the past government will be going out, the new government is coming in, and they also know, they feel the pulse of Nigeria, and they are people are Nigerians. So I don't think they will want to do anything that will not be fair and equitable enough for the incoming administration to attend to.
But from your informed opinion, on whose shoulders will you lay the responsibility of the ongoing fuel scarcity across board in Nigeria?
Well, from my hindsight, I think these issues need to have been long addressed. We got to this point because of lack of commitment to local refining, and because we have that we may have to continue to import into perpetuity without not minding the fact that first, Nigeria is well endowed. Secondly, is the fact that import reliance is not good for any country, considering the colossal amount that is going to be involved, and considering the fact that this is a dollar-denominated rate and going to affect our reserve and other means of budget. So these issues needed to have been tackled. But be that as it may, the reality on ground is that if government is not very careful, it's going to have far-reaching socio-economic consequences. On the part of capital, where they will always source their funds, and of course, entrepreneurs will also be able to import and be wanting to sell at their own rate. But this is the other side of it, is that the end beneficiary or the consumers may not have the capacity to afford whatever decisions the capital entrepreneur and government may want to take. Because you know that the labor the wage is not deregulated, and there's a limit to the amount that the ordinary Nigerians, the masses and labor can pay. Even getting from the fact that even 18,000 million have not been able to pay. So how do you think that the ordinary Nigerians, people that cannot even earn 18,000 wage, will be able to afford whatever rate or dictates of the pricing of the product if the subsidy issue is calculated? So these are the big concerns to the society and to Nigeria as a whole.
I am particularly concerned that you, of all people, can also be caught at the middle of this crisis. The fact that you could not make it to the studio because of fuel scarcity. What role would you say Pengassin has to play in all of this?
Well, there are so many things that Nigerians have not actually been listening to. The issue of strike does not have any impact on even the current issue. This matter has been on for more than 2 or 3 weeks ago before the issue of strike. And to an extent, unless for those who understand business in the exploration and production sector, the issue that is leading to our strike has nothing to do with the downstream issue.
Okay.
The petroleum marketing and distribution. It touches on the fact that at this end time, some powerful people in government are trying to deny government sources of revenue. And if we allow some of the oil blocks that is supposed to earn government revenue and supposed to be able to stabilize the sources of income of government, are taken away at the twilight of administration, the incoming government will also blame us. So we are trying out, we are protesting, we are calling on government to attend to this and to reverse some of these things. It has nothing to do with the issue of the downstream petroleum marketing. And I can assure you that even if the strike has been called off, those that are playing the games are the people in the downstream oil and gas sector. So that is the issue on ground.
All right, the question on the lips of many Nigerians at this time is how long more? There are some planning to get married anytime soon, some who have ceremonies, some who want to travel. Can you forecast for us, being a member of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, how long more do you see this tarry?
Well, I can tell you that the ultimate solution lies in the hands of those in authority, and we are doing our best to reach out to them and to call their attention to be able to engage the stakeholders. We are human beings, we are Nigerians. We are mindful of the challenges that we all face, and we want as quick as possible to be able to find a far-reaching solution. But this cannot just be done without being properly engaged and being reassured and give some commitments to it. So, and the government cannot just be complacent, sitting somewhere and not looking for solutions. The outgoing government, whether they are in today or they are leaving government, they are also Nigerians and they have a responsibility. So this is what we've been crying out to be able to let them engage the people that matter in this issue and letting us have a very far-reaching solution. That is the situation. It is not just on the side of one person. The people at the top are there. They are listening to Nigerians. They are seeing what is happening on the streets everywhere in Nigeria, and they have the solution. If they are committed, if they are patriotic, that is the thing on ground now.
Do you know if we've gotten a nudge yet from the federal government, probably a dialogue ongoing between the federal government and the interested parties in this case?
Yeah, we believe that dialogue is the ultimate solution in any matter. If we sit down, looking at the issues, looking at what each side can make a sacrifice, and looking at what is the best way to find a lasting solution going forward, I'm sure that this thing will not take 1 or 2 days for us to resolve. That is what we are also using your medium to be able to reach out to government, reach out to those in authority to actually call a meeting, a stakeholders meeting to resolve this matter so that Nigerians' sufferings will be ameliorated.
It's all right. Thank you very much for joining us this hour. We'll be back with you shortly on some other of our programs. We'll be speaking with Adebayo Oluwoshiles, the General Secretary of Pengasi. He seems to have shared your thought that this situation can be stemmed down in like 1 or 2 days. It sounds quite miraculous. One is wondering if we have the willpower and all of the paraphernalia of government required to make this a reality.
I'm glad the gentleman said it is in Pengasi. It is possible to resolve this today, in the sense that you resolve it and then we begin to lift fear by tomorrow and thereafter, and then you ease the pains of Nigerians. But where's the political will? I'm not sure that the Minister for Petroleum is back. She's just junketed out of Nigeria. She's gone to the UK, I think over the weekend, maybe on Friday. Look, in any serious country, for crying out loud, how will you have that kind of crisis that is strangulating economic prosperity of your country, and then you find a way to travel out? She can't say it's so important that somebody else can't do on her behalf. If then says somebody else can do it on behalf of Nigeria, then where is the backing? Where is the political will? Has the president spoken since all this started? He hasn't. The finance minister is just blowing hot air. Oh, I won't pay back. I won't. If you tell them to lift to import oil, why are you not going to pay them?
But speaking of political will, where did this particular marketer, the Capital Oil CEO, get the political will to actually sell, defining the fact that he also is being owed? Because the major point is the innocent, the average Nigerian suffering the agony of this fuel scarcity. So don't you think all the marketers to take the same cue as the Capital Oil marketer did?
They can if they choose to. Only God knows, or he has only the reason why he's done what he's done. Maybe also to score some points, that's fine. If he eases the pains of Nigerians, the point he scores does not really matter to me. It's not, for me, it's not my darling Nigerian. So he's tried. But if others can come together and say, look, let us do this, and then, but I do understand as well that they will just say, if you do it, where does the money come from if you have imported? There must be something here that we don't understand. Independent man can say that there is something tricky that's in the middle that you and I don't have an oversight of. Until that is tackled, if any Uba's case will just be like a drop in the ocean. And you never know, because if he does that, you don't know what the others can do to him. But the thing is, if he can do it, then others can join him to do it, even if thinking about Nigerians alone.
Let's talk about what all of these mean to the average Nigerian. You know, many people prior to this time have talked about, we've talked about patriotism, how patriotic Nigerians should be. Some will tell you, I have never felt government presence growing up. I paid my school fees, I paid my meals, I paid for light, I pay for everything. What impact do you see these ultimately having on the psyche of an average Nigerian that is being required every other day to be patriotic?
You know, there are two things there, patriotism and then what your civic responsibilities are. I'll look at it differently. One is, I think this is beginning to tell the average Nigerian of his own importance in choosing who should be in terms of responsibility. And I think this last election has drummed that home. People getting PVC, but the thing is, how many of us who call ourselves elite get involved? Because if you stay away, then you allow hooligans to rule you, which has been what has been happening. That's one. The issue of patriotism is, for me, is dicey. I don't see a reason why Nigeria should be patriotic. I don't say.
Why?
No, why I'm saying that is, what is the influence of government in your life? In the area where you live, you dig your borehole, you create a local government for yourself, you have 2 generators, one small, one big, you use one daytime, one at night, and then your kid goes to a private school, you pay through the roof for every service you get.
Don't you think Nigerians do that because they failed to question those in the ends of affair? So because they relapse to silence, that's why they tend to fend for themselves?
Just exactly what I said about civic responsibility. I think the good part of this that I say, the consequence is that Nigerians will now wake up to say, hey, when I leave good people to get into government and I allow riffraffs to get there, this is what I get. But if we all get serious and ask questions and demand results, Nigeria will change. And it's the same thing I'm talking about, change. People think the change is Buhari's change, is APC's change. It's not, it's our change. The change then is, what do you want to see in the hospital different? What do you want to see in the post office different? What do you want to see on the road different? What do you want to see in various areas of your life that is different? If you see it, then you demand it. If you don't demand it, then we're going to lapse into the same silliness that we call endurance. For me, it's stupidity. When people just sit down, tomorrow, it will be better tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't just get better.
Okay, do you see the fuel crisis as a lesson enough for Nigerians to learn from?
I hope it is. You know, Nigerians are very thick-skinned. We like suffering. We forget too easily. That's why we forgive people too easily without any sense of recompense. Somebody doesn't know he has tried, now let us leave him, let's forgive him. Forgiveness in the Bible does not just go like that. There has to be a reciprocal responsibility. The thing is, I tell you, if Buhari comes and he begins to bring all these people to judgment and then they begin to, after just let them go, at least you are now in government, just leave them. That's the way we behave. We forget it. We're like a woman who goes into labor. She makes so much noise in labor, but the moment she sees the child, she smiles and she sleeps up. She comes back next year to deliver another child. That's the way Nigerians behave. We forget, suffering, and then we move on again. That's not the way to live. The thing is, something must be concrete. It must be a change that you see that is continuous, that nothing takes away from you. That's the way other nations behave.
Okay, now, Oluwo Shile actually pointed out the fact that the government is not showing sincerity. Nigerians on one part are saying that the agony is so much for them to bear. And the marketers on the other hand are saying that if the government want to sincerely speak with them, they should come up and have a way of solving this problem. Now it looks like three different parties are experiencing different things. Now, who should Nigerians be happy on at this time, knowing fully well that all they want is freedom from this agony?
Mine is, the Nigerian expectation is from government. I don't know the marketer. That's his business. But there's somebody in charge of the marketer and myself. Let him take responsibility. That's the way government works. It's not, my son is not doing well in school. I'm just giving an example. He's not doing well in school, and I go and hold the gardener that you're working this school. That's not the way to take responsibility. I go to the headmaster. Oh, Mr. Headmaster, this is what my child is complaining about. Somebody is bullying him. I'm not going to go and talk to the gardener or the gate man, who happens also to be in the system. But the man I talk to is the man who calls the shots. So the man we're talking to is the government.
How long really do you foresee this linger? Because the Minister of Petroleum Resources, whose picture is on the screen, one would wonder the kind of activities that has been lined up for this week on the part of Aso Rock. It's not really, there doesn't seem to be much time on the hand of the incumbent administration to kickstart a dialogue process. I'm not sure that will mature before Friday. How long do you see this linger?
No, you see, Mr. Oluwo Shile says something. If the government is serious, a dialogue can take place at 12 noon. They know the stakeholders, and they say to them, we'd like to have a meeting with you at 2. And in resolving it, they can resolve it by 6 p.m. And by 7 p.m., the marketers can be giving instructions to whoever. It's just about seriousness. I mean, if the minister, who calls herself a minister of petroleum, at this point in time is out of the country, then there's something wrong. And then we have a president who is sitting pretty here, who hasn't said a word, there's something wrong. Now the minister for, although she calls herself coordinating minister or whatever it is, she coordinates. That's why she's the one making all the noise, but does she have the full facts? If they're going to resolve it, are all the stakeholders not going to sit down together to resolve this issue? So what happens? It speaks to dissonance in governance. And that's what we're saying.
What are your expectations from Nigerians at this time? Of course, you talked about being thick-skinned, but there's a point also that you're being pushed to the wall, especially when we have dwindling resources. There's a possibility of people showing off the other part of them in jostling for their own share of the available resources.
You just said the thing that is a crucial point in Nigeria's state of suffering. Trying to get your own share. Oh, the man at the petrol station is getting his own share because he's hiking and then he's putting 300 naira in the pocket. But he forgets that scarcity will finish and then the 300 will not come. Those are just short-term benefits that does not speak to good thinking. The thing is, Nigerians must stand up to now form themselves into a group to say, look, what are my expectations as a Nigerian? What is the life of a Nigerian worth? What is, if anybody sees me outside this country, what does he attribute to me as a Nigerian, benefits of being a Nigerian? If we begin to think in such dimensions, we will make a difference in this country. But the thing that, because the government has taught us The situation has taught us to think short term. Everything is now, now, now. What can I get now? What can I get now? If we do not change that pattern of thinking, it will be a major disservice to our children that are coming, because we are beginning to let them see the same thing.
Unfortunately, too, there are also Nigerians who are cashing on this situation. Unemployed young Nigerians you saw in that report who are making some cool cash from this, who probably would not also expect that the scarcity ends anytime soon.
As I said, it speaks to the way we think as a people. Let's even say the scarcity goes on for 1 year. Is this how you're going to spend your life 1 year? The 300 naira will you make at the fuel point? Let's say you make, let's say in the end of the day, the petrol attendant makes 3,000. What is 3,000 to the number of things he needs to do? Will 3,000 pay his kids' school fees? Will he take him to hospital? Will he take him to work? When he wants to take transportation, the same man he took it from will take it away from him. We can't think like this. Look, that is why sometimes I'm worried about our NGOs. What kind of education, even the labor union, what kind of pre-election education? What we only do is we wait till a month and then we begin to tell people, don't vote like this. In the course of the 4 years before, how have we told those people the way to think?
But the way it's going now, we see reactions from communication, from banking, travel, ICT, health, economy, and the rest. Do you see Nigerians still docile in the coming days? For instance, telecommunication companies threatening to shut down. That's about 146 million Nigerians not having access to their GSMs.
Boy, again, as I said to you, you find that we just a spontaneous reaction that makes no sense. Oh, what is happening? Bang, 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 then we make the noise. The thing is, do we always look at the sequence of events? Do we look at the genesis of any situation? When you don't, you then tackle it at the top, you leave the very fundamentals. The fundamentals are the things that should stare us in the face. It's not the noise, it's not the shout, about, oh, they're taking telecommunication, oh, this. It will come back. After it comes back, what happens? You go back to the status quo. The thing is, how should a nation behave? Should this be one of the things that Nigerian enjoys as part of his life benefit? You understand? For instance, when there was one time I was away and there was this Ivan hurricane in the U.S., the government said, because of this, they know it will happen. This will happen, light will go, we will restore it within 48 hours. So people knew that within 48 hours something would be done, and within 48 hours was done. If it's now not done, somebody say, hey, somebody should be held responsible for this. You told me 48 hours is now 72. Nothing like that happens in Nigeria. We go back, oh, light has come back, let's go on. That's it. The thing is, if we don't go to fundamentals and tackle issues from fundamentals, and when we complain that it touches fundamentals, we'll be struggling in vain.
Friday is inauguration day.
Oh, yes.
Dignitaries are expected from across the world. Of course, President-elect is saying that guests should pay for their own accommodation and transportation to the venue. I don't know how realistic that is, because I'm not sure he's the one paying for all of that. But what impact do you see the ongoing food scarcity have on this?
It may disturb activity, but I'm not sure it will affect those kind of people. They will come, they will get moved from the airport and they'll go to the... But the thing is, it gives a dreary feeling to everything that should be ceremonial. The average Nigerian can't watch it. He can't partake out of it. I mean, there should be an element of we are in this together.
The president-elect is actually calling for a low-key celebration.
Oh, yes.
Given the situation of things presently.
I agree. I agree, low-key. But I should be able to watch it. I should be able to have an opportunity of reading about it in newspapers or getting some information. But the low-key does not mean that I should be blanked out. So it's tough.
It's all right. Thank you very much for finding time to join us today on the show. We've been speaking with Dr. DOKUN ADEDEJI, sharing some very insightful thoughts on the developing story as regards food scarcity in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Doctor, for finding time to come.
Thank you very much for calling me.
We hope also that subsequently you have enough food to join us on the show.
I hope so.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll also we have our closing remarks on the show and have some many more juicy things to intimate you with. Stick around. Don't go away.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because when we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy peak, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Welcome back. It's Core Digest Monday, exclusive to Core TV News, and we've talked extensively on the show today about what we described the sit-at-home order. Amazingly, Tayo, we discussed this topic last week, Friday.
Yeah, very true.
I hope we weren't prophets of doom.
No, of course. We're just good Nigerians predicting what could happen, but we didn't pray it to happen.
What do you foresee now for Friday? Probably we're talking about abundance.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Petrol selling at 40 naira per litre.
Very, very possible.
We can
actually
dream it. If we can dream it,
it can
become
happen.
A reality.
You know, it starts from the mindset. If you think it's like you said, 40 naira per litre, very possible.
And then while you are buying from the black market and they say it's 400 naira, you can just give them 400 naira. In your mind, you can think it's 40 naira that you're paying.
No. That's that's a different prophecy entirely. But really, as quick as possible, Nigerians need to be relieved from this.
That's right.
Challenges.
That's right.
Really,
relief
really
definitely will come. We have to be optimistic, and as well as we're hoping that government will also do what is rightful at this time. That wraps it on the show today. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
And I am Omotayo Alo. Thanks for staying with us. And of course, to get more fuel, or we're hoping that you'd get enough fuel to see the inauguration ceremony and of course, be happy.
As we cover it live on this channel.
Yeah. Thanks for staying with us.
Every day of the week will bring to you divergent views on news making the headline.
If people who commit crime are being rewarded with national honors, with national appointments, then where are we going in this country?
It's not about whether it was Jonathan or whether you are going to have a Buhari. It's the kind of political structure we run.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
We are talking about a Buhari who at 41 became head of state. The man did not exhibit the attribute of somebody that is strong intellectually.
So, comrade, you're saying if you become governor, you're going to bring back Okada?
Of course.
You will bring back the market women from the streets?
Excuse me, don't put words in my mouth.
On Core Digest, we bring all of this to the court of public opinion, where you are the judge.